welcome once again to Marbella Views and News on 2, Sandy Kay. And Sandy's, well, she's having a whale of a time at the moment, literally. There's another dead beast been washed up on the beach, Laguna Beach. But before we get to that, she's got some breaking news. Where have they put the whale? Nobody knows where they put the whale, the original one. This is not the second one.
Hello and good morning, and how are you? And hello everybody. You've gone full flow before I've even said hello. Yes, you're quite right. I have got breaking news about the original whale. You know, they had big problems, as we discussed last time, of getting it off the beach, and they had a unit that was much too small for it. But then they got a crane, and then they got not a van, but a truck that was an 8-wheeler, and they tried to put it back into the beach, into the sea, but the wind was so against them that they had to come up with another way of getting rid of it. So they actually took her to the to Casares, because there they have got a landfill area, and they have buried her there in the landfill area, covered her with sand so that no fumes would get anywhere. And that's where she's gone to rest instead of going back into the sea.
Well, I've heard of burial at sea, but this is quite the reverse. I mean, it's burial at land for the mammals at sea, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a new place. But at least she is now resting. She's not smelling. They've done a very good job, the Ecological Society, and let her rest in peace.
Absolutely. Are you looking forward to going the same way, Sandy?
I'm going to the Malaga hospital.
You've already booked in, have you?
I have. 11 years ago, I booked in for when I say goodbye to the world. My body is going to the hospital, to the university, in fact, in Malaga. And I just hope, when I signed all the documents, I said to them in Malaga, please just make sure that they're nice young boys cutting me up, because there's so much to find in my body with all the metal I've got in me, that they're going to have a field day. But yeah, that's where I'm going.
Well, there you go, you see. They used to stand people up that were of a foreign nature, I understand. In the beaches around Malaga, they used to stand them up there and bury them that way. Have you heard that?
No, when was that? In your day or mine?
Well, yes, probably both. We won't go there. I tell you where we will go, because I've got a picture of another beastie, and this is a dolphin. And it's washed up, as I said, alluded to at the beginning, on Laguna Beach. Now, Laguna Beach, as most people know, the year before, was burnt down. And very uncharitably, we thought at that time, well, are we really surprised building a blooming wooden edifice on the beach like that was just asking for problems? And sure enough, the fire leapt over the as it used to be the N340, now the A7, and burned the thing down, and nothing's been done. The site's been cleared, but I suppose with the virus, they don't want to start building yet, but I've no doubt they will, because it was doing a nice trade. Did you used to go there?
I lived at one stage across the road. And the amazing thing was that I was talking to my neighbor on the terrace, and I said to her, there's a little bit of smoke. They must be burning the old dead leaves. And then I looked and I said, I think that you should look further, because just look at all the flames. And I literally watched the whole thing come in front of my eyes. And I thought, this is too close for comfort. And I phoned a girlfriend and I said, I think I'm coming to your place. She said, don't get in your car. We're coming to fetch you now. And I said, no, well, let's wait, which we did. But it was monstrous, monstrous. The mayor did say that it was going to be rebuilt by the Easter of the next year. As you said, there's still nothing there. And there is a whisper now. This is just a whisper. And I don't want to be spreading rumors. So please.
Well, that's the first then. Go on.
No, don't think that I'm spreading rumors. But I don't think that they had permission originally to build.
It's a common illness of the coast, that.
It's a possibility. And as you said, to have wood and to have bamboo huts, having come from South Africa, where we had thatched roofs, we never ever got insurance, or if we did get insurance, it was sky high. So I wonder about the insurance for what was the most wonderful place, Laguna Beach. But we've passed that, and we've forgotten about the dolphin that ended up there.
Well, I'm going to say we digressed, but I've got a picture. I should put the picture of the dolphin, and somebody stood by the beast, bless it. And Son of Sandy, I've captioned that picture. I don't know whether you've seen that, but
no, I should look at it with aplomb and think, he's naming everything by Sandy.
Yes, it was a Sandy Beach, of course. Anyway, there's been quite a lot of dolphins washed up along the coast, and they're in the middle of an investigation. Why? But both of us have a theory about plastic, don't we?
Yes, we have a theory about people throwing plastic either in rivers or into the beach or into the sea, also masks that we're wearing, and it's being digested by whales, dolphins, and they are dying at sea and then coming to, with the wind and with the waves, they are coming onto our beaches. And I think we're going to see a lot more of them, which is extremely sad. Really, really sad. Why people can't clean the beaches, why they can't stop throwing things out, why they are not being ecologically minded, I really don't know.
No. I mean, I've got to confess that I'm not really agreeing, except because it's become a religion, quite honestly, in many parts of the world. But I am passionate, like you, about this blooming plastic at sea, because we both boaties, we see it in the reel, and it's not good. People are even throwing things in rivers, and they're just being washed down, especially in Spain, where a lot of rivers going into the sea are dry for 10 months of the year, and then suddenly you get what the Americans call a gully washer, and there it comes down and it spreads it all out at sea, and that's the danger. And listen, let's be more cheerful, because we've got a nice picture of Antequera, which is very famous, of course, for its Camino del Rey. And the Camino del Rey is frightening. A lot of people won't go on it, as you can see from the picture. You won't. Why? Why don't have you got vertigo?
It's too high, it's too narrow, and for me, with all the metal I've got in my back, my walking is okay, but I still feel that my balance is not sufficient for such a narrow strip to walk on. But the pictures are wonderful, and I've had lots of friends going on it, and they say it's absolutely incredible. And now they want it to actually become part of UNESCO. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have, and they stand every chance. I mean, it's a gorgeous gorge that you literally walk through, but it does need a little bit of courage, I think, at certain places. They've not had a disaster yet, but, you know, we are used to, it would never get constructed that way in UK. Because there'd be that much health and safety that they wouldn't allow it. But in Nepal and in Antequera, they're okay with it.
You're not relating to Nepal to Antequera whatsoever. But no, in the UK, it certainly wouldn't, because it really is frightening. It hasn't got any sort of support if somebody should fall. But up to now, everything has been fine, and let's not cause any problems, because the summer is coming up and people start going. And in fact, I think they're now open until their bookings until about June, because people come specifically to go on that Gorge Walk.
They do, and it's caused havoc, of course, in the past with this social distancing. I mean, how can you pass each other on that? Well, I suppose you can always jump off. That's a way of getting quick social distancing.
You're not supposed to pass. You're supposed to follow.
Oh, I see.
Isn't
you
enough.
Can't walk both ways then. You've not got arrows on the floor.
I don't think so. Somebody will come and tell us, but to my knowledge, no. It's a one-way street, or if not, It should be, because it really is. I don't know how wide the gorge is. Do you?
Well, I mean, it varies, doesn't it? I mean, sometimes it's just 50 meters and then it goes a lot wider than that, but worth a visit. We can do our bit of tourismo.
You can. I'm not doing it. That's one for you to do, Rodney.
Well, there you go. Listen, I'm going to talk about post offices, and I've got some scandal.
Oh, tell me.
Well, no, I'm just allegedly. We're going to say allegedly before we say this. There's a post office in Malaga, quite famous, big building, and an Israeli company have taken it over, and they've said it's for social housing and things like that. And I thought, really? Is it a sneaky way in to take over a beautiful building? Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, of course, in this, because they really want to make a commercial centre there.
They are building a hotel there. It is the oil magnate from Israel who bought it some years back, and for zillions of dollars. He's also then given Malaga some land so that they can build something else there. So it is a little bit of a two-way street, but it's going to be the most incredible building and a wonderful, wonderful hotel. It will bring money in. And if Israelis see that an Israeli developer has built something in Malaga, trust me.
Well, you've got faith in human nature.
We will get Israelis coming to visit. I actually work with Israelis, and they have a following. And when they start building something, they do finish. And the quality is always wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, of course, a lot of the Spanish builders have come in for a lot of criticism. But I tell you what, they've really got the act together, and there are not many buildings falling over and roads going down mountainsides like they used to be. And they do make the most extraordinary construction projects that, again, wouldn't be tempting in other countries. The architecture here is fantastic. It's not just square boxes. They still, bless them, build square boxes, and they're not particularly attractive, but a lot of the stuff is really cutting edge. And it's nice to live in a place that gives not everybody living in little boxes, but the architects actually coming from Northern Europe to live and work in Spain because they've got freedom here. They're not restricted with rules that are unnecessary.
You're quite right. And the other thing that they don't do is they don't use the awful stuff that the UK is using, and we don't usually have fires in buildings. So a lot of concrete is used, even in the new buildings, which alleviates all the problems that UK and even Dubai, who is way up, had this enormous fire in, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Several people got very badly burnt, and this was, I think, in 20-something floors. And they also had used the same, what was it called that they're using in the UK?
You mean the cladding on the building?
The cladding was on that building. It has just been announced.
Golly gosh.
Yeah. Here, I don't know of any buildings that use cladding. And here our buildings, as you said, are very secure. And yes, the old people that built here years and years and years ago in the old part of the villages, yes, it's all little boxes, but they've made so much out of their boxes. And now they're painting, they're either white villages or they're blue villages, or they've got color, or as we said last week, they're painting on the actual buildings. So there is so much being done by the Spanish.
Yeah.
With the
let me say that there is a caveat to all this, because if you look at the deaths through fire, it's not the fire, it's the smoke, inhalation of the smoke. And you've still got that with the Spanish situation, because the furnishing catch fire and the ventilation doesn't work or whatever. So there is a real danger here still. It's not because we're living in concrete, there's less, I suppose there is less chance, but beware of the smoke. It's literally a killer. Let's move on. Got another picture for you, and a bit of a sad one again. We're into sad pictures. Well, some people say this is sadder than the dolphin on the beach, and it's a Benalmadena, and all the bars and shops shutting up, and it's like a ghost town. Now, a question for you: other towns like Marbella and most parts of Estepona and parts of Benalmadena Pueblo as well are not suffering. It's just strips like this. Tell me why, Sandy.
I knew you were going to ask me the reason why, and I can't give you the actual reason, but Benalmadena seems to have people come of the, don't shout at me, but the kiss me quick hats type of people.
You mean the one that you've got on the moment? There's no, I've been trying to read it, actually. I thought that was a kiss me quick hat you've got on.
I'm still covering my wounds. Don't be cruel to me. And I'm not even going to reply. And to the comment you made before we went to record. And that was quite nasty, by the way.
It'll be on the outtake.
You may not see me next week. That's again if I'm invited. I just think that Benalmadena were a lot of people that came for all inclusives. And those people, because of COVID, are not traveling the way they have been because it is too expensive. It has been too expensive with all the tests they've had to do in the UK and also when they've come here. And that has stopped them because a family, it's costing them well over £100 before they even take a snip of anything. So my theory is that because it's the less expensive and all-inclusive, they are not coming down as they used to in droves. There is a very high class section of Benalmadena, and those people are not going onto the strip. They entertain at home. They're not going into the type of bars and restaurants that are closed down now.
No, it's a shame. And there's various places in Alicante and Benidorm and places like that on the east coast of Spain that specialize in the package jobs in it. But it's not only that, actually. I think also this 3-month thing has scared people off. People love coming to Spain for 6 months in winter to their own place, or even to very cheap hotels. It's cheaper in Spain than it is living in your own house in UK, long term in a hotel. But they're frightened and they say, oh, they're going to make this 3 months rule absolutely conditional. And we're not coming down. So I know certain regions are now actually asking their regional government to get rid of this 3-month law and at least make it 6 months. I think that's a good idea. But Europe at the moment is not the easiest place to deal with. They hate the Brits. Hate? Did I say hate? I'll tell you what. Word. It's a strong word, but in certain parts, we've come across it. Oh.
Yes, yes. Well, as you said, it should be longer than 3 months. A lot of people are not coming down. People who've got their own homes are not coming down. And they actually should think about working out their arrivals and their departures. They can come down for 3 months if they're clever and use the calendar and see when they can come down and count the days. But to come on a full 6 months, that is not easy to do. And that is when the winter people came, the retired people, the people without kids at school. And this was their haven, their sunshine haven, where the cost of things was not inflated. And they loved being in the warmth. And yes. Those are the people that we're, but those are the people, and we're not going to get political, but those are the people that voted for Brexit. No, we are going to get political because I used that the 4-letter H word before, and it's not the average Joe that hates us. In other words, it's not the average Frenchman or whatever. It's the bureaucracy that hate Britain. I use it again for leaving
the union, because the union really stands a chance now of failing. It's a political thing, and that's why I will still use the word hate, because in the top echelons of the bureaucrats, believe you me, we talk to those that deal with these people, and that's not too strong a word. Not everyone, but there is a number that hate what Britain has done. Very difficult. Britain is now turning round and saying, oh, we've had a very bad pandemic. Now we've got the dreaded Boris with all he's bringing. But we have got a better economy than the whole of the rest of Europe. We're escaping the Brexit, and we've now done a good job with the jabs, and so has Spain. Bit late, but it's not Spain's fault. Again, it was the European Union's fault for not getting the act together originally. So there's a lot going on behind our backs that we never know. Sorry, as a political animal, we do get hints and nudges. Nudges is the favourite saying at the moment. If you want to change opinion, you don't confront people straight on, you nudge them, and eventually they will change. That for another day. I'm going to move on before she... Please. I'm going to move on. I'm going to show you another photograph. And this is of this one's in Estepona. And it's a supermarket called Superco, and it's out of the Carrefour family. And what's the first thing you see and think of when you look at that? You think, that's cheap. It looks like in Britain when we used to have Quick Save. And it is, Sandy, isn't it? It's Carrefour on the cheap.
It's Carrefour going down market a little bit, and even cheaper than the other supermarkets, Mercadona, Aldi. They are trying to be in that ilk, but they're not only being inexpensive, they're still keeping their normal Carrefour, which is not an expensive store anyway, but they're joining the other boys. They are giving another side to Carrefour, and this has just opened up in Estepona, and I believe it's opened up in other places as well. Is that correct? Do you know that?
It's correct. They've opened in other places. They reckon they're 10% cheaper than Aldi and Lidl.
Well, they are going to do extremely well because, I'm going to just cross over a little bit. With our electricity bills being so high, people have not got that amount of money to spend on food. So everybody, including me, and I hope including you, Rodney, because you're not the most...
She's still for words. Look at her. She's struggling. She won't.
I was going to say you're not the richest man on the coast, and you still go to inexpensive supermarkets, as you should do. And you, I'm sure, are also counting your pennies because electricity is so high and going to cheaper supermarkets.
Well, she's right. In fact, we've always been fans of places like Mercadona, dare I say, because they... and for dietary reasons, sin gluten. Without gluten is an important part of our diet. And I've been informed secretly, if you go in Mercadona, actually, you'll find a lot of sin gluten there. It's almost like one of the hippie shops that you can buy lots of good stuff for you. Whether it does you any good, goodness knows. But there's a lot of good stuff that is very healthy but I found the reason why, because the daughter of the owner has got a health condition that she can't eat wheat, trigo, and that's influenced his decision. So Mercadona is quite basic on prices, but the stuff is very good and very healthy. How about that? And I'm going to go on and talk about the French supermarkets as well, because we're quite a fan of the French supermarkets, because both in Portugal and Spain, we live in both places, complicated, you've got some very good French supermarkets. And one of the good things is they buy stuff from every nation in Europe. So if you're a Brit, you'll get Brit stuff. If you're a Scandi, you get Scandi stuff. So there you go. So I'm waving a flag for European countries after all, you see.
Well, you should do, because we live in Europe. So, wave the flag. But you're quite right, because down here we are when we first came to live here, there was virtually nothing that we could get. It was all Spanish, and me included used to go across the border to go to Gibraltar, to Morrison's, and pile up. I don't know when I've done that last, because there's nothing that you can't get on the coast, because all the supermarkets cater for non-gluten, non-this, non-that, and all the countries of the people that live here, the Scandis, the Germans, the French, the British, the Belgique, everybody is catered for. And again, and I've said this many times, we are extremely blessed living here.
Yes, you're right. And we're going to quickly move on to, I've got a nice picture now. And this is a posh house in Marbella. And it's Mr. Djokovic's house. So that's a bit better than the supermarket picture we're showing. Isn't it nice? And of course, he does his bit, especially tries to do his bit in Australia, and they've thrown him out. But you wonder why now, because there are things emerging. Did the Australian authorities know a lot more than they are telling us? Because he's been a bit naughty, allegedly, and swap dates on PCR tests, and goodness knows it's coming out. We don't know the full story yet, but smoke and fire springs to mind again.
There's a little bit of smoke coming through, absolutely, but there's also more smoke, because he is an 80% investor in a company called Biotech, which is making not COVID vaccines, but treatment. Now, where does this come from? And I mean, he was down here. We're not going to go right into it, but he was in Spain, and he lives in Spain, as you have shown us, in a beautiful home, and he's very rich, but he's sneaky. And I don't know if he's going to be allowed to play in America, because in America, they're not allowing people unless you are double vaxxed. And he is totally against it. I see that Dubai have said, welcome, Mr. Djokovic, whether you're got vaccinated or not, you are welcome into our country. And this I find very strange. France, I don't think, is going to allow him in. What do you think?
Well, I think many sports, the more money they get, the more corrupt they get. You've only got to look at football, soccer, the deals that are done there. You're going to that Arab country with all their laws and holding various cup competitions. You can say that also about, which is about to descend on us, the Chinese Winter Olympics. So there's a lot of hypocrisy, Sandy. And the more money there is, the more hypocrisy there is. I mean, I was entering a conversation with my dear wife, and she was asking how much are football players paid these days. And well, I said they can be paid up to £500,000. Oh, she said, that's a lot of money. I said, hang on, it's a week. What? I said, well, I'll give you one subject that's even more, well, worse than that. And my favourite team, of course, being a Manchester lad, it's got to be United. Sorry, the City folks, but it's United. And there are people there, got a big team, a lot of reserves, but they appear regularly for an average on the football pitch of 10 minutes a match. They are paid £100,000 a week for putting in 10 minutes work as a reserve that is brought on just before the end of the match if things go wrong with the regular players. It's that I can't justify it. I never will. It's wrong, and it breeds corruption. And dare I say, is it all tied up with one thing that we still do in Britain. Sorry to go to politics again. Bending the knee before the BLM gods in America, and they still do it. It defies gravity. Look, we've got to go on.
You're going across to the UK again. This is what you've done before. This is Marbella News and Views.
Well, it affects everybody.
Yes,
because don't forget the number of Brits down here. They've not managed to get rid of them all with all the hiatus. So the people are still interested in what goes on in Britain, and the Scandinavians are still interested in Scandinavia. And you're still interested in South Africa. Ish.
Up to a point, ish, very ish. I mean, the family send me things, and it's on WhatsApp, and it's political, and I don't know who is talking. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't belong there. And yes, I care about the family and friends that still live there, but the political situation, I haven't got to grips with at all. I must be very honest.
No, I think you're right. It's a dichotomy for a lot of people. It depends how long you've been on the coast. It depends how long you've been in Spain, how much you've adapted and adopted. I mean, we've spent more of our life in Spain, Portugal, than we have in the UK.
Me too.
So where do we live?
Europe.
Oh, lovely place. Some lovely people in Europe.
It's a big place and lovely people. And where are we going to find the next story? Tell me.
Well, we're going to find the next story on the film scene, talking about money and corruption. We'll go into films.
And that's for sure.
Well, a town called Malice, which is a wonderful title, is being filmed down here. Where's the corruption? Well, I don't think it's corruption. But if you look at the places it's been filmed, which is, I think, the Canary Islands, parts of the mainland of Spain, etc., and Marbella, of course. But each one of these places has actually given money to the film people to come and use their territory.
Well, they're not charging them. They're very carefully allowing them not to pay the full amount and giving them dispensations and things like that. And the film companies are now looking for countries where they don't have to pay the full whack, which is normal. But now
it is, but I'm sorry, there's no difference morally between giving them money and letting them off taxes. It's the same thing. I'm not being overcritical. It goes on everywhere, as you say.
It's a tax rebate, and that's exactly, it's the same difference. Whether they are helping them financially or giving them a tax rebate, it's the same thing. They are helping them financially. But luckily, they are coming to Spain, where they are then living in hotels. They're spending money because they've got budgets, whether they're on the mainland, whether they're in the Canaries. They're bringing people here, and they're also using facilities here, which is bringing money into the country or giving people work that didn't have work as well. So it is a two-way street on that front. But yes, it is corrupt.
The definition of corruption is very blurred, and any subsidy can be called corruption. That's back to politics again. We won't go there now. We've had enough. This
same word as saying allegedly.
That's the
umbrella that covers a multitude of sins and shouldn't get you into trouble.
Well, it's the get out of jail free card for a journalist. But it works. Allegedly.
And everybody's using it allegedly.
Yes. We'll go to Antonio Banderas' fame, because he's sticking with the film lot. He's won the Carmen de Honor Award, indeed, for his from the Film Academy in Andalusia. So that's jolly good. He's not had the easiest time over the years, over the decades, but he's still there, still does a good job, still, again, brings work to this part of the world, and he's very loyal to Andalusia.
He is the Malaga Boy. He leads the procession at Easter time. No matter where he is in the world, he always comes back for Easter and is a Malaga boy. He's now a man, obviously, but they class him as the Malaga boy. He has made films all over the world, brilliant films, some not so wonderful, but he's also done a lot of theatre, and he's built, obviously with the backing of CaixaBank, this wonderful theatre in Malaga. The sound, the seating there is sensational. And he has now got a production on called Company, which I saw on Broadway years ago. I've been dying to go to it, and I may give myself a birthday present and go, but the only thing that's keeping me is I'm sure it is fine COVID-wise, but I'm still not that comfortable going into a closed space.
No, I agree. We film a lot of theatre in Britain still, and it's not easy to go in there. And we are quite renowned for filming, would you believe, 60s groups that are still going. And I mean, most of them have got new hips, and then they've not got the full complement, but they're still going and they're still brilliant. And the thing is, when we set up one of these theatres to film it, if you're filming a concert, for instance, you have to be there very early doors and get the sound right and the sound checks. The 60s groups just turn up there. They stick their amplifiers on the stage, and I say, right, guys, can we do this? No, it'll be all right. And it is. It's brilliant. They don't do any sound checks, a lot of them. And that's great. But mentioning this, two of the entrepreneurial people that put these shows together, I was talking to them. I say, how are you going on with COVID now that it's relaxed in Britain? This was several months ago. Oh, well, people are sitting apart and taking care. But of course, it's the grannies that go for these 60s shows. And I said, well, how are you doing commercially? And they said, there are half the number of people in the theatre. And you can understand why people are very reticent about going. And blow me down the following week, both of them phoned me up even, and they said, we've got the COVID. And I was sort of sympathizing with them, obviously. But I said, what do you expect going in theatres all the time? And they said, yeah, it's a risk we take. But some little bit of good news is that it is coming out that the 95 mask, the expensive one, is a real protection, which is, of course, why surgeons have been wearing it for years, for both people, the people that put it on and for the people that are being treated. So if you want to be a little more ease at your mind, get one of the masks. It's probably worth it, another £3. But it lasts a bit longer, they tell me. But that is a real protection. Nothing else is. The paper things are not very good.
I've been using the 95 for a very long time, and it gets very hot and I get very red just there. And it
depends on the size of your nose, Sandy.
No, it's the size of my cheeks. I haven't got implants, but it's the size of my cheeks. So I find it uncomfortable and I get very, very, very hot. But it's something that I wear all the time because I feel with my age and my history of not the best of health throughout my life, I've got to protect myself. You've got to leave something behind for these young men at the Malaga University Hospital, because if you get in there and it's a pile of metal, there's nothing else. So you're right. You keep yourself in good state for these people. For those boys. Will I have a hat on or won't I? This is going to be the question.
No, my goodness.
Now, going back to Banderas for a second.
Yes.
He has done so much for this city. And he is such a down-to-earth man. And I applaud him, and anything that I can do that would help him, I would do. And I remember when we were doing our afternoon show in the studio all those years ago. He was living down here. And I said to you, I want to interview him. And you said, yeah, go and find him. And I found his home and I put a note under his door. I never heard from him. And here I am being so sweet to him. So I never got to interview him.
Yeah, well, there's a letterbox. Put it through the letterbox. You stick it under the door.
I put it under the door because he's got to walk into the house and see an envelope there.
But
Not everybody
did
looks
you put
at
your name on the envelope?
No, I put yours.
That's probably why then.
I put Airtv wants to interview you.
Oh my goodness me. MITV. There you go. There
it was. At that stage, it was MITV. You're quite right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And listen, we've got to go out and on a slippery subject, but it's good news, and it's called olive oil, because there are certain empresas, certain people that produce, manufacture, grow olives in this region in particular. If you go inland, it's olive tree after olive tree. It's brilliant, just the perfect land, a perfect climate. And olive oil is the perfect product, they tell us. There are, I don't know, 50 odd different varieties of, there is one empresa, one company that's, I don't know whether they should be advertising, but they're very, very good. They've won so many awards, it's not true. And a lot of people don't know, there's a lot of science in olive oils, because when you see a label saying virgin olive oil, well, that's the first pressing. And that's the purest and the freshest. And when people say, oh, olive oil, well, it's nasty tasting. Well, no, it's not. But if you get down to the fourth or fifth pressing or whatever it is, then you get a lot of residue and it gets very strong. So if you want to really think nicely of posh virgin olive oil, it's really nice and sweet and very good for you.
It's extremely good for you. And you know, there is a co-op amongst the olive oil growers, and they all bring still in this day, they all bring their olive oil to be pressed, the olives to be pressed in one section. And they have been doing this for years and years. And you know who their biggest customers are? Do you know?
No.
You're looking at Browning, the Japanese.
Oh my goodness me.
Japanese love to bathe their arms, their legs, their bodies in olive oil. They rub them in. They think olive oil is the best for their skin. And the Japanese have got very, very good skin. And olive oil is not as expensive as many products are. And they are using olive oil. And our olive oil is now being sold in 79 countries all over the world. And I must tell you something else. I was at a lunch party recently, and a little bit of food didn't go down the right way. And the first thing, and there was a doctor at the table, the first thing they did was give me a teaspoon of olive oil, because that, they said, was going to get the food down the right way. Water would expand the food, olive oil slips it down, and it actually worked.
My goodness me, I didn't know. You've not told me that. I would have thought it was embalming fluid they put in, but no, probably not.
No, you want to get rid of me so fast.
Oh, we've got to get rid of us both. We've got to get.
Is a true story. So I'm certainly, and I, for many years, have had a teaspoon of olive oil in the morning before my day starts.
Right, yes.
It just lubricates everywhere.
Yeah, well, too much information. As I said before, when I was being rude, we've got to go. It's been the usual delight, Madame, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, kind sir. Bye-bye to all our viewers. And did our viewers know that we've gone global? Really global? We can be seen on Airtv International. We can be seen on Amazon Fire Sticks. We can be seen on Amazon on the new Windows 11. We can be seen on your tablet. There isn't a place that you can't find Rodney and I. So come on. It's time.
She's still not going to get paid even after that delightful promo because she didn't mention Roku, which is
I was about to go and say, and we've also on Roku, which is covered in America and all over the States. And I actually got a phone call the other day from a girlfriend of mine in New York and said, "You're never going to guess it, but I've got Roku and I've just seen a program that I recorded with you last year and it came through on Roku."
Goodness me.
And this was my girlfriend, Avina Lou. So
yes, I remember the program.
Yeah, on my Strong Women Along the Coast. So I was not forgetting Roku.
Right. Well, for the 5th time, we've got to go. Madam.
Bye-bye. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe. And I'll see you again next week. And bye-bye to all our viewers.